Hello, morning. Welcome to the next diary video log. Um, and today, oh hello, my phone storage full. Today, I think I've got a cold to be honest, because I usually am just room temperature all the time. I don't feel the cold. I'm just always room temperature. And today, this morning, I really felt the cold like that, with a cup of tea this morning, and just at work this morning, I was just like, really. So I think I've got a cold, but um, I'm not gonna, I've got loads to do today, so I'm just gonna, carry on. Still got to work, still do the things I've got to do because I think if you sort of dwell on having a cold, you're kind of like feeding it, and it just feels worse, than it actually would be. So for me, I just yeah, not even going to think about it. Not even going to worry about it. I'm not even going to let it incubate my life, or take over. I'm just gonna just forget about it and carry on, and that's how I deal with colds. So today we've got a busy day ahead of us. It's a writing day and a research day. I've got a new project that I'm starting, like I mentioned in the previous video, audiobook. I'm not able to do audiobooks with my books because the way they're written, they're not a linear book. It's more a game with many different paths, and it depends on the reader and which path they choose. So audiobooks are just impossible to do with them. But I have always wanted to do an audiobook, and I've always wanted to write a fiction book as well. So I'm beginning that project now. I can't tell you the story of what it is, but I can tell you two things. I can tell you that the genre that it's set in is like horror, thriller, sort of action. And the second thing I can tell you is that it is going to incorporate a story, excuse me, that I wrote as a young man about the way I used to write books when I was a kid is it would start off with a question, like what would happen if X Y Z, and then the story I would write or the book that would I would write is the answer to that question. So the question for this story that I wrote as a kid was, what happens if somebody who's been locked up in prison their entire life is let out, either through parole or escape? What happens to them in society and how do they handle the public? And then I wrote the answer to that question, and I think it was a three-parter, to be honest. But I think I might incorporate some aspects of that story that I wrote into this audio book project that I'm doing. Um, and I think, like, I've never created an audiobook out of any of my books just because I physically can't. And I think the way that people create audiobooks is you take the paperback version, and you basically read it out loud and you record the audiobook. And I think that's how audiobooks are created. And then it's uploaded, and that's how that's done. It's always after the paperback is made that the audiobook is then created. Well, I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. I'm going to do it where the audiobook comes first. So I'm just basically going to, sit here with my microphone and sort of say hi, and word out the audiobook, right? And create the audiobook version of the story. And then I've got some software where I'm going to turn that into words and create the paperback version. So I'm going to see how that works out. This is a new way to write a book for me. I've never written a book this way. I've always sat down in front of a keyboard and typed out the book, and that's how I've always created books. But I feel like I want to try something new. I want to try different ways of creating a book. So for me, this is the way I'm doing it is more exciting to me than the story. The story is almost irrelevant. It's just I want to try out this new way of doing it. So, but the story for me is pretty interesting, and really I feel scary because I'm utilizing the audiobook format within the story itself. So obviously, audiobook, it's a voice that reads the story, right? but I'm utilizing the fact that there's a voice, a human voice, so it's going to be my voice effectively, and the fact that it's written out in a diary format. Okay, it's like a journal, so it's like somebody's journal. So, and the way they read that journal then is like part of the story itself, and that's all I can really say about it. I haven't even got a title for it yet, but I mean, I don't think we're going to see it this year. You know, the audiobook might come out the end of this year, who knows? But it's more likely going to happen next year. But I'm really excited. So I've got to do some research first because I can't just sit here and write a book and just make up bullshit or whatever. I've got to know what I'm talking about. So I've also got to research today. It's a writing and a research day today. I'm going to research the project for the audiobook, and then I've got to do some character sheets for my adventure game books. I've got one coming out. I think it's either April or May. I've got one coming out. That was the last one, by the way. This is the last one. Like, so you can screenshot that if you want. That was the last book I wrote. That was the Crown of Torture. So all this madness is basically how I write a book. So this book here is my Bible for my books, right? So if we go back, I mean, I've basically plotted out the entire run of everything here. I've even written down how I write one of these books. You know, 10 steps on how to write one of these books, just for it's easy for me to get my head around, because some of these books are very intricate. I even designed the world, the maps for in this book. I haven't really gone through this book since I created the series, but the first book is in here. There it is. So obviously, like the 100 series, there's 100 entries, and every time I wrote an entry, I tick it off here. And this is basically, so this is the Crypt of the Vampire. No, this is Escape from the Crypt. That's the map I created for Escape from the Crypt. I always have to map my books out and then do it. So I've got to do. This is the new one. This is the new one I've got to do. I can't really show you too much because it isn't out yet. But I've got to do character sheets for the one after that, which I believe is called the Dungeons of Death. This one is called. This one will be coming out in April or May. It's called Footsteps in the Snow, and it's really interesting. The character that the main character, you know, the whoever's reading the book is the main character. The person they play, you know, it's this is a true adventurer. This is a true warrior adventurer who has to live off the land and learning how to do that. And this is kind of the setup for what becomes in Crown of Torture. So it's almost a prequel to Crown of Torture. But so I'll be writing character sheets for Dungeons of Death. I'll be finishing off and playtesting Footsteps in the Snow and doing research for my untitled audiobook, which is going to be like a horror. This is going to be a creepy as shit book, right? This is going to be a proper creepy book. I'm going to have to enter a dark place in my mind in order to write this. So if I can scare my girlfriend, then I think I'm onto a winner. So I might do some testing of the audio to see how she reacts. Like do different voices. So yeah, busy day today. So even though I've got a cold, I feel a lot better now. Like I had to really force myself to work earlier. Like I was just like that. And that's half the reason why I didn't do this live video log early in the morning, simply because I was just like that. And half the other reason was time. Like I have time now to do the video log now, whereas the other days I didn't have time at this time, so I did them early morning. So yeah, got to crack on now. Busy day ahead. Cup of tea here. Research, writing, and that's it really. Tomorrow is a live playthrough. Wednesday, live playthrough. I've got to change that. That's still January. Oh my gosh. Live playthrough tomorrow of GameCube games. So check that out. It's at noon, and yeah, join up and we'll have some fun. Anybody's got any GameCube games, consoles, accessories that they want to sell or are looking to buy, come join in on the live stream, because you might find what you're looking for. And if not, then you can just watch me play some games. Put in the description in the comments what kind of games you want to see. I've got the full library, and I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good day. Take care. Take